I was going to go into work that day. I woke up just exhausted at 5 in the morning because I was waking up earlier and earlier to fit all of these things in. And I just remember just being exhausted physically and mentally, but having this need to get up and go and do my things, to do
Mm.
my perfect morning routine that I had scheduled out, and just laid in bed and cried. And so that was a signal to me that I needed to slow down. Now I didn't.
Of course not.
No, I went harder
Yeah.
uh, until I couldn't anymore. My body literally said, "Okay, we need to slow down what we're doing. We need to stop." And that was a wisdom. That was a guidance. That was the body telling me what direction that I needed to go in.
What's up, you beautiful beasts? I'm Katie. I'm on a mission to help humans become their favorite versions of themselves and to strive for overall health by healing their relationship to food and exercise, healing their relationship to their body, and most importantly, healing their relationship to themselves, all without ever having to step on a scale. I have had the privilege to talk to all kinds of different humans who have been through a plethora of experiences just being a human and existing. I believe that every single time someone shares their story, at least one person listening will learn from it, be inspired by it, and maybe, just maybe, even change the entire direction of their life. These are the stories of humans unveiling their beautiful beast. Keep listening. This is the Unveiling the Beast podcast. Well, welcome to the Unveiling the Beast podcast. Um, I'm glad we finally meet. I know we've had to reschedule a few times, and that's totally cool. Um, but yeah, can you tell myself and the listeners a little bit about who you are and why you think you are who you are? I know it's a loaded question.
I know. So who I am, well, that would definitely be a label, which is Rich Life. And actually, it's my real legal name right now. I changed it from Richard Ostendorf, which is what I was born with. My
Okay.
mom's maiden name is Life. So it's a family name. And I felt like it aligned with who I guess I wanted to be, but it just felt right too. And
Mm.
so that is why I have that label. The label of this, whatever this is. A physical expression. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cool. And then why do you think Rich Life is who Rich Life is?
Hmm. So rich life is a human being, a person. And I have been this way as far as I know. I was born and then I grew up. And of course, like we're going to talk about, I encountered a lot of conditioning, a lot
Mhm.
of borrowed thought or non-native thoughts that made it caused a lot of pain and suffering and challenges for me. And then through my experience, I was able to let go of a lot of that thinking. I was able to drop it. And what's underneath the surface of that is really pretty incredible, actually. It's really beautiful, very expressive, very fun, very creative, joyful. I've this lately I have a 1-year-old daughter, and my heart has been just so full lately that it's been like almost difficult to contain. It's
Mhm.
it's so wonderful. And that's not always the case. I mean, and it definitely wasn't the case before I found the understanding that I share with my clients now.
Hmm. I want to talk more about the conditioning piece that you spoke of. Um, as we were talking about before, unveiling our beast is like the veils are the conditioning and the programming that we get from the outside world as we grow up. And so that's like one thing that makes us different is our genetics, of course. And the other thing is how and who and why we're around the people we're around growing up and or like even in adult life. And so what was how do I want to ask this question? How did you know that you needed to lift up some of these veils to uncover rich life?
I had always struggled in life emotionally, and so it was something that was building throughout years and years. I'd go through cycles of depression. I was misdiagnosed as bipolar disorder when I was a kid. And then, so really, it was 2 years ago. I was a weight loss coach and I was trying to be the best version of myself, trying to create that for my clients and for myself and for my spouse. And I was working really, really hard at it. And I was trying to control my feelings, my emotions through different modalities like yoga, meditation, qigong, affirmations, cold showers. I mean, the list, if there was something in that like field of holistic wellness that I thought might work, I would try it. I would do like solar water and anything. I'm like, please help me out here because I didn't feel good if I was truthful to myself. I was so emotionally unstable. And there were times that I would feel good and I would try and control and make myself feel better through all of these techniques. And it just kind of created this roller coaster where I'd shove myself up as high as I could and then I'd just crash. And I really crashed. Like I was pacing at 2 in the morning. I was almost admitted to a mental institution twice during this time. My body was giving me signs that I was not living from the heart, from who I really was. And so it was giving me acid reflux and indigestion. It felt like I was eating glass every time I
Mhm.
would have a meal. I was so afraid and I had lost control, and my attempts to grip harder were making me spin out even more. So that I'd say was my signal that I was feeding into the veil. And you can do it in a lot of ways. You can do it through a way of self-improvement, and I'm going to make myself better and I'm going to do all these things. It can almost become like an addiction, really.
Mhm. Um, so the theme that I'm kind of hearing coming from your words is this element of trying to control everything rather than letting it just, I don't want to say crash, but just letting it out and letting yourself express. Um, and you didn't say that these modalities that you were trying to control your emotions with, you weren't expressing, but that's kind of the vibe that I get. Is that correct? Like you were trying to control it, but not express it.
I was trying to control what I thought needed to be controlled. It looked like my emotions and my thoughts were dangerous and were bad,
Mm.
and there were emotions that were really, really good and emotions that were really, really bad and really painful, and that's true for it experientially.
Hmm.
Like there are emotions that hurt, yeah, but the hurt doesn't actually come from the emotion itself. It comes from the fear, the judgment, the resistance to that. So, yes, what you were saying is I was resisting what I thought was a very real experience and something that I could force away and control.
So then at what point were you like, if this was even a thought for you, I need to let go?
Yeah, I remember waking up on a Saturday, and I work on Saturdays. I did. Still do sometimes, but I was going to go into work that day. I woke up just exhausted at 5 in the morning because I was waking up earlier and earlier to fit all of these things in. And I just remember just being exhausted physically and mentally, but having this need to get up and go and do my things, to do
Mm.
my perfect morning routine that I had scheduled out, and just laid in bed and cried. And so that was a signal to me that I needed to slow down. Now I didn't.
Of course
I
not.
no, I went harder
Yeah.
uh until I couldn't anymore. My body literally said, "Okay, we need to slow down what we're doing. We need to stop." And that was a wisdom. That was a guidance. That was the body telling me what direction that I needed to go in. But I wasn't listening. Took me a little bit to listen.
Yeah. Wow. So then once you did let go, did it happen like in one big chunk or did you let go of little pieces at a time?
I think what happened was my ego mind, my conditioned mind,
Hmm.
was just so exhausted. It was just fighting for so long. And so it was so tired that it kind of took a break for a while. And I slowly recovered and I found an understanding of how the mind works that just was like, oh my gosh, this is so true. How have I not seen this before? And I was so ready for it. Basically, it was an understanding of how well we're made,
Mm.
how at our core we have wellness and peace, connection, love, all those things that we want to try and get to. And we also have the ability to temporarily cover those up. But I never heard that before, that that was the core, that was the essence. And that was such great news to me. I recently wrote a post that said, I'm so glad to know that I don't have to create what's already innate.
Mm. Meaning it just needs to come out because it's
Yeah.
already created. I like that.
It's already there under the surface. And if I let go of what's blocking it, if I let go of my thinking that I'm holding on to, I'm contracted around, then that will just be revealed. And the truth of that has been shown to me time and time again that when my ego mind quiets down, or I don't listen to it as much, or I don't give it as much energy or power, then I feel good. I feel connected. I feel alive.
Mm. Yeah, what's coming to me is this analogy of like when we're holding on so tightly to control, it takes a physical toll because it's like, like when we drive a car, how tightly are you holding onto the steering wheel, and is it really that necessary? And when you like let your hands relax, your whole body relaxes. And so it's kind of the same with like trying to hold on to thoughts or beliefs or, whatever and control everything. But then once you release it, it's like an entire whole body experience.
Mm. Yeah, the body and the mind are one expression. So they're two sides of the same coin. And of course, they influence each other. But there's something that's behind both of them. I really love this subject because I'm also a body worker and I'm going into a massage school
Oh, that's
in
cool.
starting in February. And so the body is fascinating to me. It's beautiful, incredibly well designed. Wow.
Hmm.
We can get down on our bodies and look in the mirror and kind of have these distorted thoughts about our bodies that aren't true. But when we really look at it and study and see how like all of the veins come down and are constructed to feed all of your muscles,
Hmm.
every single movement is created by muscles without you even being like, okay, I'm going to bend my pinky finger. Like you don't have to. It just is automatic. It's so incredibly beautiful. Like I said, it's one expression.
Hmm. And I want to add to that piece, like everything in our bodies are connected to each other. And I use this example all the time. I can hurt my ankle and I can feel the pain in my shoulder because everything's connected. I recently, it was kind of off topic, but I recently pulled one of my glute muscles and I was walking on my treadmill and it was bugging me, so I stopped and I went and did shoulder presses, and my pain went away in the glute. And so it's just like this reminder everything's connected. Um, and then you add the mind piece, like everything is supposed to be connected, and we're so disconnected from our minds, like as humans in general, because we're so focused on what the outside world is telling us we should be or should do or, constantly shooting on us. And so there's this disconnection piece, I think that's kind of like ravaging the human the human world, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, I experienced that when I was going through that breakdown where
Mm.
I was so lost and I wasn't listening, like you said, to my own inner essence. I was
Mm-hmm.
listening to my fear, and my fear was saying, we need to find the right person to listen to. We need to go on Dr. Google and figure out what we need to do. I mean, even before that, it was like, I am going to live this guided life. And so, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to ask every question to the universe, and I'm going to wait for an answer. And I would say, okay, should I turn left or right here? And then just wait for an answer.
Mm-hmm.
And even that is kind of overthinking. It's really overthinking it, actually.
Yeah.
because when we are in tune with our bodies and our minds, there's no thinking at all. We just get to our destination. Like there's so many times when you're like, well, how did I get here? Well, the universal intelligence that is who we are
Mm.
directed us through traffic using just so many bits of information as you're driving, and you're not even aware of it.
Yeah.
That points to how incredible we are and how much little credit we give that because we think we need to be the ones to figure it all out, to have it all planned out.
Hmm.
And that's one thing that I really help with my clients with because I see a lot of people solving problems they don't have. In this moment, there are very few problems. And if there is a problem that's immediate, you're going to get up and take care of it. If there's a
Hmm.
fire, you're going to leave the room. But so much of our mind is trying to figure out problems that don't exist that we think might exist. We're very good predictors of that. Or problems that used to exist or past,
Hmm.
things that we're holding on to.
Yeah. My coaching community calls that the not problem. We're trying to solve the not problem. And I to your point in that the essence piece and the intuition, I think the best coaches out there are the ones that don't tell you what to do. They help you find the answers that are already inside of you so that you can solve the not problem and see that it's not a problem at all. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Most problems are thought created or thought based in nature. I might even go so far as to say all problems are mind problems. Because and we can kind of point to the truth of that as coaches in our communities. We point to the truth of that by showing people, look what happens throughout the day. That problem that's the not problem or that seems like a really big problem, is it always there in your mind? And the truth is there's going to be times when it's a really big deal and you're perseverating over it, and there's going to be times when it's not no longer there. It can't be found. Even if you searched for it, it's not anywhere you can think of. It's gone. And there's all of the degrees in between. That shows us that it's not something that is substantial. It's not something that's real in the real world. It's something that is much more connected to our thought system, and so that makes it more fluid. And that's so powerful for people to see.
Yeah. And to know that it's completely human thing to do,
Mhm.
right? I was just thinking of this meme I saw where it said, "You can't hurt my feelings. I create made up scenarios in my head and I hurt my own feelings." I was like,
Beat
yes.
you to it.
Yeah. So is there like a specific kind of niche of people that you work with, or do you kind of work with anyone who tends to be, I know you didn't say this, but their own enemy in their minds? Um, Which I mean, essentially that's all of us, right? That's like human nature to create these scenarios and hurt our own feelings. And I think it's our subconscious mind just trying to protect us from any potential danger, even if the danger is just potential, right? I think I asked you like three questions in one sentence. I'm sorry.
I think I can maybe figure out my way through it.
Okay.
Um, the first question was maybe what is my niche? What do I like to focus on? What do I like to
Mhm.
coach on? I like to coach on people who are, like you said, in their head, overthinkers. And so I coach on all kinds of subjects. I coach coaches, I coach insomniacs, I coach people who want a better relationship. I think one of the things that I really enjoy that if there's somebody listening to this and they might hear this, I really want to kind of be a good enough coach. By that I mean not just like, oh, he's all right, he's kind of, but coach people on that feeling of being good enough or not being good enough. Because I think that is behind so many things that we want on the other side of our thinking,
Mhm.
that there's this thinking of, oh, I need motivation. Oh, I need to be more confident
Mhm.
in order to create this in my life. But really what's happening is they've got the brakes on because they have this warped belief that they innocently picked up, and a lot of us do, and probably everyone does to some degree.
Mhm.
I don't think anybody makes it through that conditioning phase of life unscathed. But they've picked this up along the way, this thought of, I'm not good enough to do this. And that really creates a lot of friction so that they have this thing that they want to do, but then they can't because I'm not good enough.
Mhm.
And what I help them to see is that good enough is made up. It's an idea. It's not a thing. It's not substantial like I talked about. There's times when you're in a low mood and it feels like the not good enough is coming out of your pores. It's
Mhm.
just like oozing out of you. And there are times when the not good enough is nowhere to be found. It's like you're in a high mood, you're feeling pretty good, and you like check your pockets. Well, I thought I left the not good enough somewhere around here, but it's not there. But the insidious thing is that the mind can tell you a story about how you've always been not good enough, how it's consistent, even though it's not there some of the times. And when we drop that story, then we find that natural motivation, that connection, the creativity, the excitement, and the passion that we've been looking for.
Mhm. Past Katie was, I'm not good enough because I'm too much.
Mhm.
Was too much and not enough at the same time. Yeah. That was like the majority of my life. So I really resonate with what you're saying. Um, and again, it's the not problem, you know? It's maybe my too much is just right for somebody, but I've been serving it to the wrong people, right? So it's really the judgment that we place on it that makes you not enough. And it's like this whole, pardon my language, mind fuckery that just like it's cyclical. It just not enough, too much, not enough, too much, not enough, too much. And those judgments are coming from me, at least in my experience. Those are the judgments I'm placing on it when, you know, yeah. I don't even know what I'm trying to say, but again, it's the mind fuckery.
That's actually really cool to see that it's just your mind doing cartwheels and mental gymnastics. And I don't put that lightly because I know how it feels. And the experience of it can be so incredibly painful and so incredibly encompassing and just visceral to you. But the thing is that it is just that mind that's going off in a direction that's not helpful. And one of the things that I like to teach clients is that their emotions are so helpful. They're friends, actually, even the painful ones, especially the painful ones,
Yeah.
because your feelings are a reflection of how you're using your mind. But so many people mistake them for the reality of the world or a validation of what's happening externally.
Mhm.
I'm angry at this person, therefore he's or she's a jerk. But it's never telling you about any external information. It literally can't. It doesn't have the ability to. How could it? It can only represent how you're using your thoughts, how you're using your judgment. And when it feels really, really bad, that's a clue to you to stop holding on to the thoughts that you think look so real, to let go, to relax a little bit in your mind, to go in a different direction. That direction is going to be painful. You're on the wrong train, the wrong thought train of
Mm.
thought. You can jump off at any time. We just don't think we can. It doesn't look like we can, but we can. And when we truly understand how our minds work, it's going to make sense to do that. And we're going to have this feeling of how to do it. We're going to it's just so not intellectual. It's not like a task of A plus B equals C and then I'm good. Like
Mhm.
if it were like that, we would have figured that out. We would have been like, "Oh, did you do the A plus B equals C? Oh, I can't believe I didn't do that. Oh my gosh." No, it's much more of a felt sense of, "Oh, this is hurting me. I'm gonna drop it."
I love that you mentioned that even the bad, I'm putting in quotes, the bad emotions, the painful ones are good for us. Um, because a lot of times when we're, back to the control piece, when we're trying to control our emotions or even like shove them down, you can't just do that with one emotion. Like if you shove one of them down, you're shoving all of them down. If you are shoving down pain, you're also shoving down joy. And so I think that's when people go numb because they're trying to avoid these I'm putting it in quotes, negative feelings and emotions, and by avoiding those, they're also avoiding joy and happiness and elation, and so that's what creates this numbing. Um And so when people get stuck in that, sometimes they can't even look at what's causing these emotions so that they can shut it off. Does
Mm.
that make sense?
Yeah. The other thing that's coming up for me too is that we're creatures of habit and comfort.
Hmm.
And so it can become a habit of holding on to these emotions or pushing things down,
Hmm.
like you talked about, shoving emotions under the rug. And we do that because it looks like a good idea to us, because they look really scary, they feel really bad.
Hmm.
But if we truly understood them, we wouldn't do that. If we truly saw them for what they are, as temporary expressions of energy in our mind and bodies, we'd see that there's nothing to be afraid of. But the thing is, a lot of people, they are used to that way of operating their mind. And then when they start to feel okay or start to feel good, it's almost like, well, this isn't right. This is, I'm not supposed to feel this way. I'm not good enough. Not good enough people aren't supposed to feel good. And it's kind of like I've used this metaphor before with clients. It's kind of like you go into the dazzling sunlight, but your eyes are so used to the dark. And it takes a little bit of time for you to blink and be like, oh God, and just kind of adjust. But if you don't give yourself that time, you're going to run right back to where you were. And that's what's standing in the way of change for a lot of people.
This is good stuff. I love, yeah, humans.
Human.
Humans. Like not only are our bodies fascinating, but our minds are like right up there with our bodies, which is why it's like all one piece. Yeah. So say you have a new person coming to you. Do you have like a set like start here kind of deal, or does it just depend on the person?
Whenever I connect with somebody who could be a client, my job is to listen. And I don't mean listen like we were taught in schools, where you're focused on the person. You're like, okay, I'm giving you eye contact. Okay, uh, am I making too much eye contact? Am I blinking too much? Am I? And it's not there's so many ways of listening that we're taught that aren't connected listening. The
Mm.
goals are different, which is fine. There's a judgmental listening that we're always doing. We're like, is that true? Do I agree with that? Can I dismiss half of what they're saying?
Mhm.
So what I listen for is for what they're saying underneath the words. I listen for the subtext.
Mm.
And it's a process of getting myself off my mind, because even as coaches and listeners, we're like, oh, squirrel. Well, I really need to tell them this. They need to hear about how amazing they're made or something like that. And I model that. So I model that on how to listen. And then people learn how to listen through being listened to, because it feels so good. It's so nourishing
Yeah.
to have a connected session And it's so rare nowadays. So that's one of the things I like to teach people to do for themselves. You can listen to yourself like that
Mm-hmm.
and to do for other people. Oh, it's such a gift you can give to other people. And really what I'm listening for is the one thing that if they understood that, it would change things for them. It's the points of most leverage. And most of the time I don't know it right away. I want to stay curious. And when I'm doing body work, I call it the prominent limiter. It's the muscle that is the most in the way. If your pec is limited and I'm trying to stretch your arm up, then it's not going to go very high.
Right.
So I have to work on the pec first. And then we go to the next prominent limiter. You go and release that. And that is a process of freedom, really. Like in our muscles and our bodies, when I work on them, it's freedom of movement.
Mm-hmm.
When we do it with the mind, it's freedom of mind. And that's freedom to and freedom from. It's freedom from thoughts that can still be there. Like, that's okay. Every once in a while, I'll still have suicidal thoughts pop up. And they're not scary. It's just like, oh, wow, I must be in a low mood. When used to be all consuming. I really struggled with that. Every once in a while, I'll have thoughts of I'm not good enough. Like, I'm not promising that the thoughts will vanish completely, but they can. Like, they really can. But that's a byproduct. That's not the goal. Like a lot of people go into meditation and they're like, okay, must have no thoughts. It's not the goal of meditation. It's a change in relationship to your thoughts. It's a letting them flow. Because if you're letting them flow, anything can come through and it's not a problem. Because we have stupid thoughts. We're humans. We have conditioned thinking. We have borrowed thoughts. We have thoughts
Mm-hmm.
from my mom speaking or my dad saying, you need to really focus on your schoolwork and get good grades, or you're gonna be a failure. He didn't really say that to me, but my mind said that to me
Mm.
at that time. And that's something we can hear. So that new relationship is so powerful, such a gift. I want to give that to as many people as I can.
Yeah. The listening to understand rather than listening to respond is so big, and I wish everybody could operate that way. But we're so quick to like here's like the first piece of something somebody says, and then we've already come up with our response, and then we're waiting for the person to stop talking so that we can respond. My mother does that. Um, yeah. I love that you called it like listening to the subtext rather than, the bold font. You didn't say that, but and then applying this to our own thoughts rather than trying to um ignore them or completely get rid of them because they're there. Like you said, they're there. Why don't we start listening to them and say, "Okay, what's up? What are you afraid of?" "Oh, okay, got it." But we're so scared of our own thoughts. We as humans, of course, generally speaking.
That's so wise to look beyond the thought at what's behind it. Because if you see what's behind it, oh, that's my survival brain trying to help me out, trying to protect me. That's what a lot of the good enough thoughts and not good enough thoughts are actually trying to do, is they're trying to protect you in a way that you don't need protecting. Because we used to have, roam the Sahara and the jungle, and those thoughts could be useful of like, ooh, you're probably not good enough to take on that saber-toothed tiger. Maybe we should leave that guy for something else and just kind of leave him alone. So, but then we now apply that same thinking to what's going on outside of our worlds where we're completely safe. Oh, I'm not good enough to speak. Well, you're still safe. But that thought is trying to protect you. So it's so wise to look behind the thoughts. And even at a deeper level, to see what they're really made of. If you really see them at their core, they're just so insubstantial. You can't catch them with a butterfly net. You can try. And drive yourself crazy. There was something else that you said that I was like, oh my gosh, this has changed in my life too, where I used to have a lot of arguments with my spouse because I'm in a marriage and we have conflict sometimes. I don't know if that happens to anyone else.
Oh, not in
Maybe
my marriage,
not.
not at all.
No,
No,
no.
never.
You're like pretty good. Okay, well, you're good, but it happens to me sometimes. And if I were to use this listening, which sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I'm better at it, depending on my mood. My wife is so funny. She's like, for all the like ways that you teach listening, sometimes you suck at it. And I'm like, yes, 100%. Okay, all on that.
I'm
All
selective.
on that. But when she's coming to me upset with me, every single time, I was going to say 99% of the time, but I realize every single time it's not just that thing. That thing is the tip of the iceberg. And if you listen, and sometimes it's just listening with a little bit of patience, because patience, and I would say, and recognition that's not all there is. There's more to the story. And if I keep listening, there's more that's going to come. Because she would come home and get mad at me, maybe for not doing the dishes or something like that. But I would keep listening, and it's been so stressful at work for her lately. She's stressed about our daughter. She's worried about the sleep schedule. And if I kept listening, if I would have jumped on that first thing, oh yeah, we would have had a fight. But I can keep listening, and she can then share with me what's really going on, and then there's connection after that. So every single time that we are in a conflict, it doesn't have to be with a spouse, with anyone.
Mhm.
It's an opportunity. It's an opportunity to listen to the deeper subtext, like you were talking about, to not you wouldn't ignore the bold font, but you just look beyond it. You don't take it as seriously. And that's hard sometimes if somebody says, you're a jerk and I hate you. And you're like, oh my gosh. And then you're like, no, I'm not a jerk. And so you immediately
Yeah.
want to come to the defense. But it's realizing that there's nothing to defend. I don't have to have anything on it. That's freedom. That's connection.
On a kind of sort of similar topic, one of the concepts I've learned to teach my clients and use with my own spouse is are you familiar with the compass of clear communication?
Tell me all about it.
So the idea is so sometimes like something will happen, right? Let's say like you answer your phone while you're on a date, right? And then suddenly you're a jerk, right? So the compass of clear communication, and I didn't mean to put that on you. I should have I answer my
I'm
phone when I'm on a date and suddenly I'm a jerk. Um, so the compass of clear communication up here is the thing that happened. This is like the fact piece. This is what happened. I made it mean this. So this is how you would then communicate rather than just automatically saying, "You don't love me, you suck, you're a jerk." You say, "This happened. I made it mean this. That made me feel this way. In the future, I'd like to request." And so it's this boom, 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 boom. It created this thought. I made it mean this. So it's taking it off of you made me feel this way. I made it mean this. Therefore, I felt this emotion. In the future, I'd like to request that you don't answer your phone when I'm on a date, when we're on a date. Does that make sense?
sure.
Kind of clears up a lot of, how do I want to say it? Just like jumping to the you answered your phone, that means you don't love me kind of thing, that we tend to do with our thoughts. And when we can put it back on ourselves, like, why, or even question ourselves, like, why are we making it mean this thing?
Hmm.
Like, what part of us is insecure in thinking that the person doesn't love me because they answered the phone? That is a really bad example.
No,
But I think yeah, I think I'm communicating it.
it serves. I think it'll work for our audience because I think almost all of us have had somebody answer the phone in the middle of a conversation.
Hmm.
So I love that. I love that. And what I would also point to is a recognition of moods. Very, very important because moods are constantly shifting up and down throughout the day. It's just part of the flow of life. And whenever we're in a contracted thinking state, our mood will lower. And whenever we've gone into an expansive state or let go, our mood will rise. Our level of understanding will rise. And that's really good to know. So if you pair what you just shared with moods, you're going to really see when you're off in a distorted place. Because you can use that tactic in a distorted place and it can become really caustic. It can be coming from a place of fear and anger. And it's good to recognize that in yourself. Oh man, I'm really low. I should probably slow down or
Hmm.
not say anything. The and not try to fix my relationship right now because this is a good way to go into a spiral.
Hmm.
But also it's a recognition of their mood and how their mood changes. Because if they're coming at you with something that they're upset about, it's probably not personal. It's probably even something that doesn't usually bother them. But in this moment, their mood is lowered and it's bugging the crap out of them. And if you respond to it from that low place, yeah, you're going to get into a fight. Two people in that low mood, nothing good will ever come of it. Nothing good will ever come of it. Even though your mind will say, we need to fix this now. I'm mad and I need to say my thing. So see that in other people, see that in yourself. And one of my other favorite things to say, this has gotten me out of so much trouble.
I can't wait.
Here's my secret. I was an English teacher in a former life. You use a compound sentence with the word but. But it's very, very important how you phrase it and which point you put first. Because you're going to be putting two competing points.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to be putting your point and their point in this sentence. You're going to say, I usually never answer the phone, but right now I did. And the reason why this is so great is because you get to say what you need to say. You get to share what's in your heart. You're also acknowledging how they're seeing it. And that takes a little bit of ownership too. Now, if it's flipped, not going to work. I promise you. It's going to make it's going to send the conversation into a more angry conversation.
Mm-hmm.
If you said, I answered the phone this time, but I usually never do. Do you see the difference?
Mm-hmm.
One is going to take the steam out of an argument. The other's going to add fuel to the fire. So being really cognizant and careful about how you phrase that one is really valuable when you're in that situation. And oh man, it saved my bacon. I have to tell you.
Another one I've learned with the word but, depending on the conversation you're having or the situation is, a lot of times we'll say something like, I love you, but we need to work on this. And so changing your but to and, because sometimes, like in the sentence I just gave, you're saying, I love you, but, and then you're just taking this I love you and you're like throwing it way over there. We need to work on this. And so changing the but to and has been a big one for me too.
Mhm.
Yeah. But it depends on what we're talking about, who's in the conversation. Um, yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that one. Well, words can matter,
Mm-hmm.
but what's really more important is the feeling behind the words. And if you're coming from a loving feeling, you can say some challenging things. And if you're coming from an angry feeling, you can say some very loving things, but they're not going to land. So really seeing my feeling state, so powerful. And that's true of when you have like those negative thoughts. Oh, the negative thought is telling me I'm in a low feeling state. Oh, that means negative thoughts are great, actually. Because they're telling you when you shouldn't trust your distorted thinking. And everyone's thinking becomes distorted some of the times. You can't have the perfect thinking all of the time, but you have that guidance system. It's built into you. That's so cool to see. If my mind is saying I'm not good enough, or I suck, or I hate my spouse, or my kids are driving me crazy, it just means my mood's gone down. Doesn't mean anything about them. Doesn't mean anything about me. That's so great to separate that,
Mm-hmm.
because then you can truly see, oh, who I am is amazing. Who I am is life living through me in this moment. And sometimes I have thoughts.
That's powerful. Yeah. Well, I want to respect your time. We've been talking for an hour. That's amazing. Um, but I do have one more question for you, and I ask everybody at the end of every episode, and that is, if you had one piece of advice that you could give to the world, what would it be?
Oh, so this one's the no biggie question. Okay.
Yeah.
Hmm. One piece of advice. I would tell people to look in a new direction. That if they're caught up in this experience of life, in pain and in anguish and depression and sadness and anything that is bringing you away from who you really are, is changing the way you're seeing yourself in the world. I would like to inspire people to look in a different direction. Look towards your wellness, your wholeness. And that's hard. Even if you just start to suspect it might be there, that's a great step. That's what I would say.
Beautiful Beasts, Rich Life signing off. Until next time.